Inspiration is just a story away.
Welcome to Inspiring Lives with Dr. Shellie. I'm your host, Dr. Shellie Hipsky. All of our guests have conquered obstacles, risen above adversity, and have gone on to help others. Today's show is about education and giving back. Our first guest works with disadvantaged communities, schools, and individuals. Under his leadership, more than $40 million in needed products have been donated to groups in Pittsburgh. But that's not always the way he operated. Not long ago, he was just really trying to make the most money for himself. But when he learned that he had cancer, he wanted to make a difference for others. Today, he heads up the Education Partnership, helping teachers get the supplies they need and helping children have the best possible holiday season. Please welcome to the show, Justin Brown. Welcome, Justin.
Well, thank you, Shellie. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today, and thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. First, I just want to have you take me back and take our audience back to where you learned to deal with adversity in your life.
Well, I think if I go all the way back, my parents actually met but through tuberculosis. They actually had a TB connection between the two of them. So they were dealing with it right off the bat, and I've heard stories about my dad supposedly not making it through one of these nights, and there was very much concern. And my granddad gathered a family, and they prayed all night long, and he made it through. So I think that kind of filtered down into my life early on, knowing that. I think it gave me strength, to know that things can be done. And I ended up being, adventurous and having a lot of hope and encouragement, in my life. I ended up with a life-threatening situation in first grade, and I saw I was able to, we were able to see our way through that. We were moved on and went on to have just a terrific time growing up. But I always felt that there was such a presence of my folks in my life. I was very, very fortunate and have that appreciation for life at its finest. They laughed a lot. They had great parties and just really enjoyed life. So
excellent.
Count myself fortunate.
It sounds very similar to my upbringing with just the love for life and the love for children. And there was a moment in your life when you were a national account manager. And what was your life like back then? What was your focus in life then?
Well, I think, Shellie, a lot of things came to a head. I had, nearing that midlife point, you go through those crises, and then you wonder about your significance and whether you're really fitting or are you giving back to the community. All that was happening and pointing me towards a more of a life of service. And that is when the medical news came through that I've got this little issue. But what
was that?
Well, the issue was cancer, and at my age it was a little early, but it was prostate cancer. And after they really did the look, it was aggressive. So it was definitely, I had to pay attention. I had to take it very serious. So and we were able to come through. So I'm 5 years past that. Thank you very much. And I think what ended up, that just gives you, and anyone listening would certainly understand and agree, it gives you a new perspective on the value of your life and how precious it is, and what are you doing with it. So it ended up me wanting to be involved with an organization that was life-giving. I think that, for myself included. So I think the work that so many can find satisfaction in through nonprofit or serving others is that it's a life-giving energy all the way around, and that's what we have every day. We have a 30,000 square foot facility full of goodwill, and all of that energy is changing hands through the donation of goods that people need.
That's awesome. And I got a chance to tour through your warehouse. I was blown away, but what really knocked my socks off was when we were walking through the hallway and we're looking at pictures that the kids had drawn of the fabulous things that they got for their classrooms. And I said to you remember what I said? What did I say? I said, what's your favorite school? What was your favorite school to work with? And you said?
St. Stephen's Academy.
And I freaked out. I couldn't believe you said St. Stephen's Academy because I was the assistant principal for St. Stephen's for years.
That was too crazy.
So when you said that, I was just blown away.
That school overwhelmed us. Shellie, we came in, and before we were able to distribute any of the needed school supplies, they sat us down and just poured out their gratitude. And I know you appreciate gratitude.
We do, we
well,
do.
There was no finer example than all of these classes organized, and they did a hip-hop song, they did a tie-dye, a poem, and all this was just an outpouring of these kids of gratitude.
That's awesome. Let's actually go to video so that we can see a little more about what the Education Partnership does for the schools.
I'd been to the Education Partnership, and I was like in heaven.
I never thought that a place like this existed.
When I heard we could come down and pretty much get free supplies for our school, I thought it was wonderful.
This place is phenomenal. I don't know any other word to describe it. Just the variety that's here. Look, I'm like still, I'm in shock.
I'm impressed. Looks very good.
You can get all your necessities for your classroom in one stop.
I just walked up and down those aisles with my shopping cart because you didn't realize, like I didn't realize, how much stuff they had there.
T-shirts, binders. We tried to think of like some out-of-the-box type items, and I think we've got a little bit of everything.
The people that work here are so friendly and kind and energetic, and you can tell by talking to all of them that they love what they do and they believe in education.
The students are going to feel encouraged that someone, you know, even if it's not someone they know, cares about whether they get their schooling or not.
It's so wonderful what all of you do here. It's such a help.
As teachers, we only get a small budget to use in our classrooms, and with the classroom size nowadays, it's coming out of our pockets. So thank you. Thank you for helping us.
Thank you a million times. I can't even tell you how grateful our teachers and our students will be to get all of these items.
So that's the Education Partnership in a nutshell. When we return, we'll be joined by Dr. Linda Hippert. She oversees more than 300 schools in the Pittsburgh area. We'll ask her about the current state of education and why it's important to support programs like the Education Partnership. Stay with us.
I am the world's first joyologist, and I believe we are all here to bring joy, not just into our own lives, but into the lives of others. We can do that by tapping into our inner child. My inspiration and vision is to be a voice for all that is joyful about humanity. My message to others is to be the wind beneath their wings. I actually love catching people doing something right. And I even have laughter police. My art is inspired by my encounters with humanity. For the last 40 years, I've been finding and spending my clown self. My greatest inspiration came when I toured with Patch Adams through Russia's orphanages. If you were to take anything away from this clip, I would like it to be this: you are here to bring joy.
Remember, we want to know what's inspiring you, so be sure to go to inspiringlivesinternational.com and tell us your story. We've been talking today about education. Joining us now is a true local icon of education. As the executive director of the Allegheny Intermediate Unit, she knows exactly what schools need. Please welcome Dr. Linda Hippert. Dr. Hippert, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Shellie, for having me.
I've always respected you so much, so having you on my show is a delight. It really is. Right now, you're the executive director of the Allegheny Intermediate Unit, but I remember back in the day, you spearheaded and were the superintendent of the South Fayette School District. So you really know what schools need and what qualities are in a good school district, particularly because South Fayette was a blue ribbon winning district, correct?
That's correct.
So what makes an exemplary school district?
And I'm so proud of the accomplishments that happened in South Fayette. So
I guess if I think about why and what qualities exist in that school district, first and foremost it comes from this shared vision of excellence. What is excellence in a school district? And in not just words, but what is the belief system in being the best you can be in everything you do, and shared by the community, the board, the administrators. Second, and very, very important, is hiring the very best people. And that sounds simple, but it really isn't. It means having a process that's inclusive, that's non-political, that's objective, and that involves many, many people who are looking out for what's best in everything that's done, and not just at the teacher or administrator level, but in every single person in that district. And finally, last but not least, is this culture where there's transparency, where there's trust, and there's this willingness to be very open and always get better at what you do. You know, when we talk about trust, Stephen Covey says it's not just character. It really is about competence as well. So you'll have to always be learning and being transparent and answering questions when you're asked, and being very open to giving reasons why you do what you do. And finally, that belief that mediocre isn't good enough, that you have to be willing to get better at what you do, and you're always striving for excellence, but you're never content with where you are.
I love it. That whole total quality movement is so important. Absolutely. So we know what a great school looks like, and we know that there are also schools out there. I've taught in many schools that were very impoverished, and led a school that was very impoverished. There are schools out there that are in desperate need of resources. What type of resources are needed in the schools?
There's resources that are needed, and certainly equity in resources is extremely important to having successful schools. But along with that comes, most importantly, in my opinion, successful leaders. People who are leaders at every single level in the organization, not just the board and the superintendent and the administrators, but in the classroom. People who are creative and innovative and no excuses, not willing to settle for less, and are creative and looking for ways that, despite dire circumstances, they can make it happen, and they can provide that excellent education for students.
Absolutely. I'm so pro-teacher, so I love what you just said. So take us back to Justin Brown and his education partnership. What do you see what's happening with that?
Justin is the prime example of what we're looking for. Educators cannot do it alone. They need people like Justin, who has this passion to make a difference, to bring equity to children, and to inspire this hope for a better future. And that is what it's all about, and that's what allows us to make Pittsburgh Kidsburg, which you may have heard about, inspired by the Grable Foundation, but it's where we can be the best place in the world to be a child and to raise a child. And it's people like Justin and many, many partners that make that happen.
Absolutely. Thank you. After a quick pause, Jennifer Hain is going to join us with this week's Gratitude Giving segment. And then we'll get a few more minutes with Justin Brown and his organization, the Education Partnership.
Inspiration is just a story away.
Jennifer Hain, and today with Gratitude Giving, we will be representing a company that has done wonders for so many around the world. The Homeless Garden Project was founded in May of 1990, and they're actually located in Santa Cruz, California, on Pelton Avenue specifically. They've opened up an organic garden to help so many in training and development, and provided employment opportunities for others. Now, the Homeless Garden Project actually creates organic fruits, vegetables, they plant flowers, herbs, and through these products and the profit that they make by selling them, they're able to provide others with employment opportunities for future housing as well. And I'm here with Dr. Shellie Hipsky today, who is joining us to discuss the amazing products that we have featured for the Homeless Garden Project, as well as what's going on in the East Coast. Now, we have on the West Coast the Homeless Garden Project located in Santa Cruz, California, who is working so hard to take care of the training and employment opportunities to provide people with housing. So what is going on the East Coast?
Glad you asked. So what I've been working with for many years now is the Homeless Children's Education Fund, and that's homelessfund.org. And Joe Lagana, it was the founder of that. He was the superintendent of schools, and he went into a homeless shelter one day, and there were children there just kind of running amok. I mean, they didn't have anything focused to do. There was no real learning opportunities for them, and he gave them a book. And he actually came back almost a year later, and those same kids came up to him and said, "Look, Dr. Lagana, we still have the book."
Wow.
And his heart was like overjoyed that they remembered him, but then he also thought, oh my gosh, there's a need here. We need to fill this void for these kids. So he created the Homeless Children's Education Fund, and one of their main things that they do is in 13 learning shelters, they provide textbooks, tutors, certified tutors to come in and help them learn, and learning games. All the things that we have in our homes for children that they just don't necessarily have in a homeless shelter. So I've been really blessed to be connected with this organization, and I put on these fabulous galas, and we get all dressed up, and, and I sing and dance for the folks. But really the heart of it is those children who are in need, and giving back to them so that they can make it through life.
That's wonderful.
Thank
and
you.
there are so many ways to give back,
There are.
especially when it comes to homelessness, just providing people with those opportunities to contribute their skills, their talents, and their interests.
Absolutely.
The Homeless Garden Project here, the products that we have actually are organic, and we have the strawberry jam here that they create right on the ground that they have. It's 12 acres of land.
It's amazing.
Yes.
I love that project.
Yes.
Tamara Sika brought it to my attention, and I was just blown away. I mean, the acres and acres of land that they have people going out and picking side by side, picking the plants side by side, and then they make these organic cooking lavenders and the lavender sugar. And oh, you got to try this. Let's smell this. You can practically smell it wafting over to you.
I can.
Oh my gosh, smell that.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Absolutely. It's amazing.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, you could just put it in your bedroom and just smell that beautiful lavender scent, because lavender is supposed to help you sleep, we know. So I think that this is just a fantastic way to give back by utilizing these products. And for me, it hits so near and dear to my heart, because,
I bet it does.
you know, as a former teacher, I had the kids that were homeless, that were in transitional housing, and they needed someone to reach out and say, you know, I can help you.
Right.
And we can do that.
And we're doing it on the East Coast and on the West Coast.
Through gratitude giving.
To learn more about the Homeless Garden Project, please visit homelessgardenproject.org.
Dr. Shellie Hipsky's latest book, Ordinary People, Extraordinary Planet, is inspiring lives around the world. Find your copy at major bookstores and on Amazon.com.
And welcome back to Inspiring Lives with Dr. Shellie. Justin Brown joins us for the remaining minutes of the show, and we're talking about how his organization helps both children and teachers who need resources in schools. So let's take them straight to find out what happens during the holidays, the busy, bustling holiday season at the Education Partnership.
A lot of noise, A lot of laughter, a lot of smiles. I didn't think every single child would receive one. When I talked to the director, he said, no, we are bringing pallets of kits for every child that you have.
Does anybody here have any dreams about what they could be when they grow up? See? Now, how are you going to get these dreams done? Each one of these boxes is the power for you to achieve your dreams. These are power tools. This is like a box of power tools.
But when I saw that they got these full boxes of like everything, it was amazing. We got back to the room, the kids just wanted to keep opening the boxes.
Thank you for all the stuff that you gave us.
Like they just were like in awe because they were getting new things. And you know, that doesn't happen as much as it would happen somewhere else.
Thank you.
This will be my 5th year here. It's nothing for me to hear about a birthday or holiday that a child did not receive anything. But this was a holiday that no one could say they did not receive anything.
Wow, that is just amazing. I love watching those beautiful children's faces being so excited about the holidays and receiving.
I hope that they have a pause button on TV so they can stop at those little faces.
I love it.
Talk about inspiring.
Absolutely. So inspiring to me is people coming together and collaborating. So tell us about the education partnership and the partners.
Well, we were formerly called Storehouse for Teachers, and the name didn't fit quite right, because we're as good as our partners. I mean, we're a conduit, you know, to the community.
Mm-hmm.
And what we bring in is what we give out. And it works like that. And we have such a giving community with such terrific partners already in Pittsburgh, and we're just getting started. So, I mean, Giant Eagle has been so amazingly supportive on so many levels to our whole organization, as well as introducing us to more new partners. Just been terrific. You know, they do an annual fundraiser at the stores for us, at the cash registers, and people just, we have such a generous community. I mean, we just have such a great community.
Absolutely. I love Pittsburgh.
And then our trucking, transportation is a very big deal. You saw all that product in there. Pitt, Ohio just shows up. You know, it's just, it's that Pittsburgh work ethic.
Yes, I love it.
Yes, we can do this. We're going to do it. And that is, that's our culture. That's the quality of life here that we have in town. So we're just going to grow partners and continue to bring them into this win-win. You know, there's such a great energy when a company or corporation says, I want to contribute, I want to do something. Yeah. Think about all the places where that goes. So we receive it here. All the volunteers and places in our place feel that goodwill, and then we just keep transferring it down the line, and everybody's blessed on the way. You know, until you see those kids' faces. And you know it's absolutely all worthwhile.
It's amazing. So are there any major goals that you have for the education partnership right now that are on your mind?
Well, Shellie, we talked earlier about how you could have a heartbreaking story in the beginning of your show. And I have to tell you, the heartbreak for us is saying no to the almost 20,000 kids that we had to say no to, and then knowing that there's still thousands of kids more in our scope. Our vision is 6 counties where we would be the food bank of school supplies, really. I mean, we just want to meet that need between what students have and what they need. So it's wonderful to get the schools in our program and to have the kids get served like they do, but very difficult to say no. So we can't grow this organization faster, and I thank you for your part in it and helping us reach out and show people how easy it is that they can help.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. As always, our time is just a little too short, but thanks to our guests this week, Justin Brown and Dr. Linda Hippert, 2 wonderful people making a difference in the lives of needy students in our schools. As a former teacher, assistant principal, and now an education professor, Robert Morris, helping students is always near and dear to my heart. And I'm delighted that there are people like today's guests who are out there on the front lines and in the trenches. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, I'm Dr. Shellie Hipsky, and remember, inspiration is just a story away.
Life is filled with struggles. Life can be filled with pain. Sometimes you need a little help to get back on your feet again. The help you need sometimes comes from an unlikely source. A helping hand to understand and get you back on course. The love you give comes back to you through everything you do. And looking back, the person you were healing was you. We look for you in every place. We look for you in every face. We look for you every day. Inspiration is just a story away. Sometimes when you feel the most alone is when you think that no one cares. You reach out for a helping hand and get back empty stares. You have to reach down deep inside just to make it through another day. But a guy